I'm going to share some stuff with you guys in today's video I've never shared before, so buckle up, get ready for some real talk. So here's the deal. My wife's getting some stuff delivered at the house. It was a beautiful day, so I said, you know what? It's been a while since I've done a rant, and we've got some really deep stuff to cover. Let's go outside and make it happen. So here's the deal. You saw the title of this video. You're probably asking yourself, what in the world is he talking about now? So here's the deal. When I look at people that ask me all the time, like, dude, how do you have this motor to work the way in which you do? Like, what drives you? All these questions like that. And, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately in terms of where my motivation actually comes from. The driving force behind the actions in which I take every day. And it comes down to what everyone's motivated for. We're either moving away from what? Pain, or moving towards what? Pleasure. That's it. Those are the only two reasons why humans do anything. So I'm looking at this and I say, okay, well, let's do some psychoanalysis on myself. And here's what I've come up with. And this is what I haven't shared with you guys on this channel, at least not for a while. And so the way in which I grew up was, I grew up very, I grew up surrounded by wealth where we had very, very little. And let me explain to you, because everybody has their different challenges. And for me, I'll tell you why this was my superpower and why I think that a lot of people that reach high levels of what society would call success, what their superpower also is. You see, my entire manifestation of my adult life so far is simply a reflection of me running away from pain based on how I grew up. And how I grew up is this. So my brother and I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with my single mom because my dad left us. He was an alcoholic, so it was just the three of us. And she raised us in a city that was surrounded by wealth. I'm talking about kids coming to high school on their 16th birthday, driving brand new Escalades, brand new sports cars, while, you know, my brother and I are walking to school, you know, and that's not that big of a deal. But when it's much deeper than that. When your best friends, you're going to their house to do a sleepover or whatever when you're young, and you're going to their 6,000 square foot house, and people start asking you questions. Well, why do we never go to your place? And I remember growing up feeling ashamed, like I didn't want to let people in. I mean, again, you're surrounded. The way in which I explain it is this. It's like growing up every day on Christmas morning, watching kids around you open presents day after day after day after day after day. And then these kids start to ask you, well, where are your presents at? And having to answer that question on a daily basis. And being too ashamed to give the answer. And so for me, growing up that way created a lot of pain, tons of pain. And I fast forward today, and it's now manifested as my secret weapon. The thing that causes me to outwork my competitors. It gives me the motor that I have today. That at the time, I didn't really, how would I have realized it as a young child? All I knew as a young child was it was just painful. I didn't like it. And now reflecting back, I'll be 40 in about a week now, on May 30th. And I look back and say, well, This is why I can outwork my competition. This is why I can go deeper than my competition. This is why a lot of people that I'm surrounded with have a tough time understanding why I work the way that I do, because I'm just a manifestation of someone who is avoiding pain, because growing up with nothing, surrounded by wealth, created this world where I'm going to win at the highest level, probably at levels that people that know me might say is unhealthy. And I would admit that, because I probably make some decisions and do some things because of this chip on my shoulder to win unconsciously. I don't think about it until it's in times of reflection like this, but I probably do some things that hurt people around me because of this desire to win, this desire to succeed. And maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. When I say secret weapon, certainly it helps me in the business world, helps me financially, but at the same time, there's probably other areas that are suffering because of that. But when I start to look at this and really even go deeper, and I look at the people around me that rarely read, rarely go through audiobooks, never have a coach. When I tell people I have a coach, or actually 3 coaches, it's almost like I'm speaking a different language. Like, they don't even get it. What do you mean you have a coach? Coach, what do you mean coach? What sport are you playing? They think, they have no idea what I'm talking about when we talk about growth and business coaching and personal development. It's such a foreign thing. Although the industry is huge, to the average day Joe, it is so foreign to the average person to invest in anything outside of traditional education. They don't even comprehend it. It's not even a thought that they've ever had ever. And when I bring it up, they don't understand it. They don't understand how every time they look up, I'm doing something productive, when they're like, dude, give it a rest. Well, here's the thing. Here's the insight. The insight, when I start to reflect on this, is it all makes sense. We know this. Psychologists is what they study. Psychologist is the study of human behavior based on one's past. Coaching has to do with shaping one's future. But here's the insight. Those that have a tough time understanding where I'm coming from, or my perspective, don't come from pain. So it all starts to make sense to me. It's like, well, of course you don't want to work Saturday morning or Sunday night. Of course you're like, dude, what is wrong with you? When you grow up from privilege, you can't understand the pain that I'm still solving for. You can't understand the pain that I was in that my kids will never experience. And maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I do too much for them. Maybe I spoil them too much because I am trying to solve my own pain. And maybe that hurts them long term, because that's what I think about. Maybe I'm making things too easy for them, that they don't reap what I'm talking about. Maybe what I'm talking about is a reward. Maybe it's a curse. I'm not sure yet, but so far it's played out okay. It's put my life right now is in a great spot because of this work ethic, this secret weapon, because of all the pain that I came from, puts me in a position where hard things for me, well, things that I find easy are very difficult for other people. And I'm talking specifically about work ethic. I'm talking about having a motor that other people can't understand, that other people want to judge. Man, aren't you ever going to enjoy life? I fucking am enjoying life. You got no clue. People see They just judge it, like me buying my Ferrari or my Porsche or whatever they want to see from the outside. They just want to judge it. They don't have any clue why it is or what these things represent for me. I am enjoying life. To me, and I've said this before, working on a Saturday morning is enjoyable. Going through an audio book or an audio program versus going to the concert is way more enjoyable. Going to bed early, waking up super early, and writing is enjoyable to me. That's a lot more enjoyable than going out to the bar, staying out till 3 or 4 in the morning, and feeling hungover for the next 2 days. To me, that is enjoying life. Or waking up Sunday morning and going on a 25-mile bike ride. That for me is enjoyable. And so it's the motor that we're talking about. And where does that motor come from? You know, I start to do some research. I'm looking at making a documentary here in the future about how success is created. And when I'm starting to do some research on some of the world's most successful people on the planet, this is also true. That many of them come from a childhood that was filled with pain and tragedy, and as a result creates an adult life that is filled with success. Because those that don't come from that pain, it's tough for them to keep up with those that come from pain. If you come from a childhood that was filled with just privilege and everything was easy and you didn't struggle a whole lot, it's going to be tough for you to compete in the trenches with a guy like me who would rather work than go to an all-exclusive vacation in Italy. That's going to be tough for you to compete with. When you don't have the same motor because you don't have the pain to push you. And so for me, growing up poor is the reason that I've generated a multiple $1,000,000 income and living the life that I'm living right now. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse. I don't know. But right now, as I'm making this video for you guys, a week before my 40th birthday and reflecting back, I wouldn't change anything. Because the output from a work perspective, the way I can grind, the way I can produce, the productivity that I have, it isn't because of anything I've read in a book. It's because I'm avoiding pain. It's because I was in so much pain that now being broke just isn't an option.